Good morning, everybody. I was driving the bus this morning and I was talking to God like I often do. And one of the things that was on my mind this morning was our relationships and the dangers of micromanaging uh, in those relationships. Whether we are a boss or we are a parent or even just coworkers, but especially if you have authority over someone. Um, the dangers of micromanaging and the microscopic tears that it creates in our relationships. And these things can be caused by personality, anxiety, fear. Um, it can be caused from the stress that we have going on in our lives, and we're trying to micromanage and at least have control of at least one thing in our lives. But there is a danger. There is a danger to micromanaging. Those the microscopic tears can become wide divides in the relationships that we could otherwise enjoy with our coworkers, enjoy with our children. When we micromanage, and especially in a negative manner, uh, individuals immediately start putting up walls, and the effect that we'd like to have, a lot of times we don't have much effect at all, except for in a negative way. Individuals put up walls immediately to protect themselves, and it can cause people problems. It can cause them problems with their self-esteem, whether it be your people that work for you or your children, as they feel like they're good enough, never good enough for you, and that's something that we parents we shouldn't want and we don't want. We shouldn't want it with our employees either. That they could never feel like they'll be good enough for us. So we need to be careful of these dangers. It hurts those relationships, and we can't really have other people change, not in a meaningful way, in a good way, that we would have them change, but we can change ourselves. And one of the ways we do that is recognizing that there is a problem. And what we can do then is we can talk to God about this problem that He's revealed to us. We can ask Him to help reveal more about it to us, that we would recognize it in ourselves when it comes up. So often we can recognize the problems in others, but it's very difficult to recognize it in ourselves. But we can talk to God about that, being able to recognize it in ourselves. And we can just choose to let things be, to not intervene in a situation that ultimately really doesn't matter. Oft the times that we're micromanaging, it's things that don't even matter. And then that affects the times that when things really do matter and you really do need to have an impact. It really affects that. People are automatically put up walls. They're used to doing that with you, and they don't want to listen. Whether it be your child or your employee, they don't want to listen because you've already damaged that relationship. So there's dangers. Absolutely, there's dangers. And if we're someone that values wisdom, we can see the value in wisdom. We can ask God to reveal these things for us, that we might see it, that we can choose to not act in certain ways or intervene. And we won't be perfect about it. Some of it's just our nature. But we can improve. We can improve those relationships. We can be honest with ourselves, with God, and those that we're having a relationship with, and start saying we're sorry. Have you ever done that with your child? Have you ever done that with your employee? With a coworker or friend, saying that you're sorry? So oftentimes, people don't do that. But this is a valuable thing, to be able to say, I'm sorry, and this is the reason why. Not an excuse not an excuse, not coming with excuses, but coming with from a state of being humble and saying, I was wrong and I'm sorry. And you can tell them some of the things that you go through, and people will maybe have empathy and they can relate with what's going on instead of just throwing up the walls immediately. My dog came to visit. And you're completely muddy. But this is something of value that we can talk to God about, but we have to recognize it. So we talk to God about recognizing it in our lives and having these relationships because they're of value, but we have to seek wisdom and understand that it has value. All right, see y'all later.